What's up, y'all? Thanks for rocking with your boy Savage. It's Savage Studios up in the house. Much love, much respect. You know how we do it all the time. Your boy right here just chilling at the casa. So we're gonna give you a fun video about one time when I was in Corcoran Shoe, and I had a neighbor downstairs on the bottom tier in my vent, and his neighbor was a new arrival that had came from PHU. So 4A, 4 right, B section and C section is considered, just regular shoe, and then A section is considered PHU. So they house people like Garrido, who had that one girl kidnapped. I think he even killed himself. They had Charles Manson there. Juan Corona. He was that one serial killer who was killing all them dudes in the fields. You had just a bunch of high notoriety inmates that would be in that one section, not even in their own building, but just in that section. Anyways, when they would get in trouble or they would do something to get thrown out of that section, they would be put in our section or just moved about in the shoe, regular population. Still unable to get got though, because everywhere they go, they're surrounded by a bunch of COs, handcuffed, etc. So before we get into this video, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Yeah, so anyways, we had noticed that we had a new arrival in B section that had came over from A section. And no one knew who he was, really. Every time I would see him get escorted to medical, he just kind of looked like a fat, overweight dude growing his hair out, with a bunch of facial hair. So I didn't know who he was. I didn't know. Maybe he was some high-profile, rapist from some other area. Not sure. His neighbor was a Wood, someone I used to talk to. Me and him used to, fish for each other. When I say fish, like pass things through the line from the top to the bottom tier, from his homies to him, and vice versa from my boys to mine. So we had a cool dialogue. And when you're in the shoe and you go out and you guys are spending so many months in the shoe, although you guys are confined by cages, single man cages, where either you and your celly are working out, you can still end up chopping it up with everyone who's in your section. And so I asked him, like, hey, dude, check on your neighbor, man. Read his name tag, see who he is. On the front of each cell, there's a name tag of the inmate, first, last, and CDC number. Sometimes they even put the picture there. I don't know what they do nowadays, but that's what they did when I was there. So one of the days, homeboy comes out to yard and he's like, hey, bro, he's like, dude's name is John Garnder. He's like, you know who that is, right? And I'm thinking, John Garnder, it didn't ring a bell for me, right? And this situation is really ironic how it all played out. It's just like, or we'll just say it's really convenient how everything played out. So in Corcoran Shoe, I've already told you guys this before, you don't have metal slab. Your door is not a big metal slab or nothing like that. It's actually a steel door with a bunch of holes, probably like this big, but just a bunch of them from top to bottom. So everyone on the tier can pretty much talk to everybody. I think the only ones that do have solid surface doors is the bottom tier. I'm not sure if it's every single one of the bottom tier, but I'm pretty sure most of them have that solid door. But for the most part, they all got that honeycomb, dots everywhere. So everyone can hear everyone's business is what I'm saying. I could talk to somebody on the bottom tier all the way on the other side of the section just by talking out the front of my door. I don't have to scream or do nothing. So when I see homeboy at yard, he's like, John Gardner. He's like, that's the dude who kidnapped the girl, raped her, and buried her. And he was trying to do it to another girl, but she ended up escaping and punched him in his nose and got away, etc. So he knew the whole case. I didn't. So I'm sitting there and I'm telling my Sally, like, man, this dude, how can we get him? What can we do? We could shoot a dart at one of the homies. Could probably try to shoot a dart at him when he comes back into the section, and that's you could try to spear him. You'd be surprised what you could put together with some oatmeal, some good paper, some newspaper. You'd be surprised the kind of weapons you can make as far as darts, dip it in your own feces, and you know what I mean. But anyways, I was on the top tier anyway, so I couldn't get to him. But I was still feeling like, damn, man, if this is this dude, man, I damn sure don't want him in the section with us living like it's just nice and calm. He's gonna get good night's sleep over here. So I let it go. We're watching TV. It's about 8 o'clock at night. Dateline. Turn on Dateline. Boop. A lot of the inmates watch the Dateline. A lot of the homies was watching it too. So everybody was watching Dateline this night pretty much. Who pops up? John Gardner and his case. Everything that's got to do with his case pops up on the TV. And I'm like, this. So after the homeboy told me who John Gardner, I just still didn't know who he was. I didn't know anything about that. I went back, told my celly. We were all trying to figure out who this cat was. maybe we could spear him or shoot a dart at him or something. You know, find a way to just let him know, you know, you ain't gonna be getting no comfortable walking around, easy night's sleep over here, nothing like that. Sure enough, that same night, Dateline pops up. Guess whose case it is? It's John Garner's case. So I'm telling all the homies, everyone on the tier, I'm like, hey, look, everybody go straight to Channel 8. It was like Channel 7 or Channel 8. Go straight to Channel 8, Dateline. This fool beneath us, this is him. So we all watched the whole thing, right? And it's funny because you could hear it all over the tier, right? You'll hear little, like, you know, F and POS, you know what I mean? When I say POS, piece of, you know what I mean? I'm trying not to cuss so much, man, because they be tripping. But everyone's just, randomly, you're just hearing people just like, you know, getting more worked up, more and more worked up. Finally, when the, it's funny because like on the sick parts, when they show dude at court during his trial, when the girl says that she punched him in his nose to escape, it shows him on camera in the courtroom with the most little ratty little ugly face, just saying she didn't punch me, like just sadistic, you feel me? And I remember when that part came on, that's when everyone just got up on him, like just calling them names, you know, like nice and loud on the tier. The whole tier eventually ended up being, that whole section eventually ended up just all over him, threatening him, calling him names. And his neighbors on both sides, this neighbor on the left side, whose sink and toilet is not connected to his, were banging on the wall. And then the neighbor that has the sink and toilet connected like to the same chase that his is, were banging on the toilets and the sink with their mug. And that noise will just flood your whole ears out when someone does stuff like that. And then the neighbors on top are doing it all night to this dude. Every time we would see him going to walk, every time we see him going as being escorted by the cops, we'd be on him. Trust me when I say, for the next 3 or 4 nights, I don't even know if he lasted that long, he did not get 1 second, not 1 blink of sleep at all during the night. And I know he never said nothing back, he never did nothing, but trust me, I know he was in there going crazy. It was our small form of justice that we could get on him. You know, we didn't want him in our section, period. Literally, his neighbors were throwing all their junk, ripping up books and pages and everything and throwing it in front of his cell. Just doing anything they could. Every time they come back from yard, they look on his window and just spit loogies all over his window. The cops didn't care. The COs, trust me when I say, they didn't care. A lot of them will protect them dudes to the best of their ability, but they didn't care, man. They felt exactly the same way. So look, let's go ahead and get into a little bit. Let me refresh you guys a little bit on this dude's situation. He had already gotten out, paroled as a convicted sex offender. He had already done time for lewd and lascivious acts against a child under the age of 14, right? Now, when I look at this case, it's really sad because this murder could have been avoided, and the attack on the girl who got away could have been avoided. You see, he was in violation for moving too close to a school. He was supposed to be violated. See, now if a gang member, someone like myself who was ever to get out when I got out, if I was to have done anything, you know, stepped on the wrong crack, I would have been violated like that. But he wasn't. He was supposed to be taken in, given an evaluation for a mental evaluation, and he wouldn't have passed it. And they were supposed to put an ankle monitor on him. Instead of doing that, they let him go free. They let him go continue. They let him continue on all through, I want to say, San Diego area, Escondido area, and look what ended up happening. You know, this dude had the highest red flags, the highest. The psychiatrist herself said it, that he is still a sexual danger to girls, to younger girls, and that's exactly what took place here. So the thing with us regular inmates, if that's what you want to call us or see us as, we don't condone, we don't play that game, we don't appreciate none of that kind of shit in any part of prison. It's not welcome. Now listen, if you are in Cuba, Brazil, and these other third world countries, they're going to do something to you. Very, very vicious. If you don't believe me, go on chaotic.com. You can go on Instagram, check out Crud TV, I think it's called, or something like that. You know, you can watch videos all day of what they do to rapists and perverts and stuff like that in those prisons. California, it's not as I don't know, otherworldly. You know, we're not as beastly as they are, but we still stand by the same principles, the same understandings that that's unacceptable. So we did what we had to do to get him out of the section. I just thought it would be a trippy story to share with you guys because, you know, I told you in one of my older videos, if you go look for the Charles Manson one, I had met Charles Manson quite a few times. Got him to sign a drawing. My dad had the drawing. I ended up sending it to my dad. I don't know what he did with it. All I know is if I could get that damn drawing back, I would be a very happy individual. I've tried and time again. I don't even think he has it, to be honest with you. So that's a lost cause. But I have met him a few times. Anyone who's been in Corcoran around 2014, 13, 12, 15, you know, anywhere around the 4A, 4 left side, you always seen him going to visit. Anyone who was in 4A, 4 right, B section, C section, when he would get kicked out, he'd always get kicked out. It could be for like getting caught with cell phone, having people trying to sneak him things in during visiting, you know, all the way up until that dude died. He was always getting himself in trouble. So he'd get kicked out of PHU, which he was housed with that one dude at, and they would move him with us. Except when they moved him with us, you know, business was on, you know, because he knew what time it was. He was trying to communicate. He was trying to be cool with everybody and be down with people, and everyone just thought, ooh, Charles Manson. So for whatever reason, you know, he wasn't treated that same way. But then again, he was ordering packages for people, etc. He was doing a whole bunch. But yeah, he was someone else I had met. I used to always see Juan Corona before he died. Anyone who knows about Juan Corona knows that, you know, this man killed, I think, over 20 people, maybe even more than that. I'd actually see him in Corcoran when we'd be at the single man cages right in front of the PHU building, right in front of 484 right. They have like a little, it's almost like a little, you could say like a front yard, you know what I mean? And it's got a big chain link gate that no one can get over. It's not like we can get out of our cage anyways, but if we could, we'd have to hop that gate to get to them. And it's just, I couldn't remember if there's razor wire or not, but you're just not going to do it. You're going to get shot. You're not going to make it. But I used to see Juan Corona, a little old frail man. You know, he'd go out there and try to hit his dips, and you know, he was super old, but he looked so funny trying to hit them dips, man. He'd just be straight stiff, and you'd be like, for like 20 minutes. But hey, maybe that's a healthy workout for someone of his age. I just heard that he ended up passing away and dying too. Garrido, I want to say that's a dude who had him in the basement. I'm not sure, but he killed himself. Anyways, they had a bunch of high notoriety inmates on that side. So I just thought I'd share a crazy quick little story of the time I met couldn't necessarily exact our revenge, you know, couldn't necessarily get our hands around his neck, put our boot on his neck or nothing like that. But you know, we definitely got our little form of justice in. We let him know that we knew who he was, and that if they ever stop PHU, we still remember who you are, bro. So until the next time, man, I hope y'all like this story, man. I hope y'all like this video, man. Much love. Respect. Deuces.